What's going on, guys? I just invested in what is going to fuel the future of cryptocurrency. That's right, I invested in a company called TransitNet. And in this video, I'm gonna walk through what the company does, the investment terms that I invested in. I'm also gonna walk through the investment deck slide by slide. I'm gonna share some things that stand out and some things that you can learn from when analyzing any early stage investment. Then we're gonna go through and look at the different investment criteria when you analyze not only this company, but any other company. I've done a few other investment videos like this, including investment in a cryptocurrency startup, also raising money on the platform Wefunder. You can check all those out, linked in the description below. If you guys are interested in learning how to invest in early stage startups, make sure you check out the video I did on that topic specifically, how to invest in startups for beginners, an angel investing guide for beginners. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Faris Sabeti. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a global technology and media company. I also make videos on entrepreneurship, building startups, and investing in startups. So if any of that sounds interesting, make sure you subscribe to this channel. That is your first investment. Make your investment in me. I would really appreciate it, and it's absolutely free. And my hope is that the return on investment makes the watch of the video well worth it. So without further ado, let's begin and talk about this company called TransitNet. Now, I know it's a big claim to say that this is going to fuel the future of cryptocurrency. So what the heck is this company and what do they do? So they're basically making cryptocurrency safe, or at least I should say safer than the current model.
Today's cryptocurrency market is a lot like the Wild West.
It's lawless and sometimes crazy. Your assets can be stolen at any time, and there's nothing you can do about it. TransitNet will help to solve that problem with ownership verification. It's like the new sheriff in town.
And what they're really doing is creating a title registry that enables people and businesses to confirm ownership of digital currency they have in their crypto wallets. Now, if you guys are completely new to any of this stuff, we've got something called cryptocurrency. Just, at a high level, what is crypto? It's a digital currency, can be a digital currency, and it's a decentralized based on a blockchain, which is a distributed ledger. You might be thinking, well, yeah, digital currency, I don't actually have any of my money in paper. It's, it's at JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo. It's a digital asset anyway. Well, not exactly, because the currency that you have in US dollars or in euros or British pounds or whatever it is, that is run by a government system. And so the idea of cryptocurrency, it's decentralized, meaning there isn't, any type of corruption, or you don't have excess money printing that we saw, earlier in 2020. The US government prints out like $3.4 trillion just out of thin air. Absolutely incredible, unprecedented. And so you don't really have that with cryptocurrency. So a number of different things make it unique. And I have here the future, ... I think cryptocurrency as of today is something like $18,000. Depending on when you're watching this video, could be worth a lot more than that. Let's talk about the investment terms, and we'll get into the company a little bit more and kind of how it works. So the investment terms were done on a website called Wefunder.com. They're raising regulation CF, regulation crowdfunding. This is where you can publicly solicit funds. It's different than traditional crowdfunding, something you might see on like Kickstarter. I actually did a video on the difference between equity crowdfunding and traditional crowdfunding. Basically, you're making an investment in the company, and the CEO and the founding team and the company can publicly ask for investment in sort of like an open public offering for a limited window of time. This is different than investing in a publicly traded company, because a publicly traded company, whether it's like a penny stock or a big company like Apple, you can just buy and sell shares at any time you want. When you're doing a startup, there's only a limited window of time that you can invest in that open public offering. So the investment vehicle that TransitNet is raising on is called a SAFE, Simple Agreement for Future Equity. There's also something called a convertible note, which means it's basically a debt instrument, kind of like a loan, but then it converts into equity when the company raises a future price round of financing. So this particular instrument, a SAFE, is a simple agreement for future equity, which means it does not actually, it's not a loan. It simply is a promise to own equity in the company when they raise future financing. Now, the valuation cap is really important. It's a $6 million valuation cap, which means regardless of what the valuation of the business in the future, let's say they raise money at a $100 million valuation, if you invest in this round it's only at a 6 million valuation. So you're kind of capped and you're protected. If the company blows up, your shares aren't going to be diluted to pretty much nothing if it's a $100 million company and you invest at the earliest stage. Now, there is actually an early perk investor terms where you actually get a $5 million value. You want a lower valuation because you want to see an appreciation of the valuation of the company, right? Take, for example, you invested in Apple when they were worth $200 billion. Now they're worth $2 trillion. So you had a nice, pretty healthy multiple on your money. Same thing goes here. You want a lower valuation cap, a lower valuation when you invest. And that way, if the company raises at a 20, 30, 50, $200 billion valuation in the future, you're able to see that kind of appreciation. I believe the first $100,000 in this investment gets you into that 5 million cap with a 20% discount. Guys, this is a really good deal. I also need to make a claim here. I have no affiliation to this company at all other than the fact that I'm an early stage investor. I met the CEO just a couple of weeks ago and I really appreciated what he said and what he's doing in his business, and it encouraged me to look a little bit deeper and finally make the investment. So just pitching this as sort of the mindset as from an entrepreneur's perspective who's raised money and also invested in different startups. So hopefully you can see the methodology so that if you're looking at investing in startup companies, you can take something away. Or if you're an entrepreneur looking to raise capital for your business, you can understand it from the perspective of the entrepreneur as well as the investor as well. So that's a little bit of an overview on the investment terms. Now let's go ahead and check out this slide deck and see what this company is all about. So here we go. TransitNet, this is a 16 slide deck bringing title to the blockchain. If you guys are unfamiliar with title, it's something that's pretty basic. Basically, if you own a house, there's like a deed to the house, or you have a title to a car. So this is pretty common in assets, and it's kind of missing right now in cryptocurrency. And this is confidential, October 2020. At the time of this recording, it's the end of the month of November. So I think a lot of the things will stay pretty applicable. Here we go. First slide, we're talking about the problem. Fact, there is no title in cryptocurrency. That title is very, very important. Blockchains validate authenticity of a token, but they don't record it. Okay, that makes sense. Demonstrating control of a wallet only proves possession of the keys, not the ownership. All right, that's interesting. Could probably get in the weeds on that. Tokens are effectively bearer assets, cash, bonds, metals like gold or something like that. Okay, that's interesting. So trying to make an overview of the problem, that's like the first thing you want to do in a slide deck, and I'm starting to understand the problem. That all makes sense. Next slide, institutional players need a title. I think this makes a lot of sense. And this is one of the reasons that's kind of holding cryptocurrency back. There is a security issue. There is like a lack of confidence. And I think adding the title is something that's really important. So here's some requirements of like institutional players. When we're talking about institutions, this is like where the big money comes in. This isn't like, John Smith or Sally down the street on Robinhood, buying $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, right? You need institutions, big companies. These are moving, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars around, and that's where you're going to start to see some impact, especially on the price of crypto, on the price of like a Bitcoin, for example. The value is going to go up. So they need proof of reserve, collateral, ability to insure, and compliance. So all of that makes a lot of sense and why this is a pretty important thing to talk about. Here we go. So these are the types of service providers that require a title. So this is like, I guess, who the customer would be. Like, who's going to actually spend money? How is this business going to make money? So custodians, insurers, auditors, fund people, and exchanges. That all makes sense. Moving on here in the slide deck, it looks like even regulators are demanding the title. We got some quotes. Steve Mnuchin, his buddy Jay Powell at the printing machine, printing out $3 trillion. CoinDesk, yep, all these people, it looks like they're trying to add validity. I think I get it. I probably could have seen this in maybe one less slide, but it's fine. All right, here we go. The solution, title registry. Guys, this is not that complicated, right? I'm actually not the biggest crypto nerd. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. But I'm at a very high level. Sure, I own some cryptocurrency myself. It's a very small part of my portfolio. But at the end of the day, this is just so simple, it makes sense, and you always want to invest in something that kind of makes sense. So I get the solution. It's it's robust title, and this is like title for the new age. If you understand the importance of having a title for a car or for a house, this makes a lot of sense. So this shouldn't really be that crazy. All right, and here's the vision for the company. This is, I guess, the long run, and we'll talk about what does this actually mean? How big of an opportunity? Because the TAM, the total addressable market, for not only the title space that this company is trying to get into, but just in crypto and like anything associated to it. It's just so massive. It's such a big opportunity that you don't want to pass it out. And so this is kind of what the vision is, and kind of like what the product vision, the company vision would end up being. It's pretty interesting. Okay, it's kind of getting in the weeds a little bit, but it's fine. Here's the proof of concept. So this is what I like to call traction. Traction, like what has the company actually done so far in the time? This is a new company, right? It came out in 2020. You can actually look at the Form C available for any open public offering. It's kind of the equivalent of like an S1 for a publicly traded company. You can look at the company's stats, the metrics, ownership structure, who's getting paid what. You can see all of that there. So far, this company has built basic prototype. This is kind of, I guess, the MVP, minimum viable product. I think they're going to rework it with the use of funds just based on what they've learned in the last year. And here is kind of, I guess, a testimonial. Like here's, this Corey thinks this is pretty cool. So that's good. Give him a star. And then let's keep moving on here. Next slide. This is sort of like where are we going with the business. So I would like to see, stage is fine. I would like to see more clarity on like timeline, because like, is this like 6 months? Is this, if I'm just going to guess, like this is what it is. This is like 6, 8, and I would like to see dates, strategy, and whatever normally the entrepreneur says. If it says 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, we're probably going to have to 2x that. Everything takes longer than you want. It's probably going to take 2 times as long. So just having some clarity on that so you understand when the new financing is going to be needed, that's also helpful. And we talked about this. This is your TAM, guys and girls. TAM, right? Total addressable market. How massive is this opportunity? Another thing I really like is this recurring revenue, software as a service. SaaS has the highest multiples. It has the highest, everyone likes SaaS right now. And my business, we're a subscription service. We happen to do it B2C for fitness, swimming specifically. This company, it looks like, is targeting, some heavy hitters. It's B2B business model, and they're going to be selling a lofty subscription fee, which is awesome. That's like the best business model you could have. And here's the history. It was incubated by a company that the current CEO was the CEO of that company, and his co-founder also a co-founder of that company. So great team dynamics. Spun out, which is great. Look at these investors. Come on. We've got Peter Thiel. He started a company called PayPal, Palantir. This guy, he invested in Facebook in like their first round. Those shares are worth who knows what. And Founders Fund, these guys right here are a digital currency investing group, I believe, like the who's who of anyone to be investing in early stage. And they've got a really solid team. So I told you I had the opportunity to meet Eric Jackson and learn a little bit about his background, his vision for the company. He was the early, Peter Thiel from PayPal. You heard of a guy named Elon Musk, right? He was at PayPal as well, and he started a few other successful companies. So Eric Jackson, CEO, was recruited by Peter Thiel at PayPal, early PayPal team member. His current company, he's co-founded with this guy who's the COO, so great working relationship. And their, crypto regulation, and all that information that's like industry specific is this guy Will right here. So we've got some advisors. Kind of expect that from any company, but really it's the team that's going to execute. It's great to have mentorship, advisors, investors, whatever. At the end of the day, who is the CEO? Who are the founders? What does the leadership team look like? And they get another big star because they've got some superstars on this team. So that is amazing. I definitely enjoyed looking at this deck with you guys. Hopefully you got something out of it. Now let's go ahead and look at the investment criteria for this company beyond just the investing deck. So when we break down the problem, market size, solution, traction, team, and finances, one thing that I forgot to put up here, which is super important, we'll put it with traction, is the business model, right? If you don't understand the business model, got to spell business model correctly. If you don't understand business model, like nothing else really matters if you can't make money, right? That's the name of the game in business. So the problem is the risk or loss or theft of the crypto, the lack of title. And the solution is having the title, which is awesome. Now the market size, we talked about TAM, total addressable market, is huge. I think somewhere in the investor materials, it's like $5 billion. I'm not really sure what that's exactly referring to. it doesn't really matter. Like, crypto is huge, it's not going anywhere. And the fact that this can be the fuel to let it kind of explode, crypto's, Bitcoin, for example, the value has gone up pretty significantly. For the last 10 years, I think it's doubled or tripled every single year on average. But it's still not being adopted by these institutions and the even bigger players. Remember, Sally on Robinhood or Coinbase is not moving the needle. This needs massive adoption, and something that's blocking is this lack of title. And so a big market solution is the title. Traction, they've built the prototype. I think it's going to be completely refigured based on what they've learned here in the last 12 months and probably the next 12 to 24 months. Business model, we talked about it. It is a SaaS model. This is software as a service. That's the best kind in today's world of digital, recurring revenue. And the team, Eric Jackson, I mentioned, CEO I met with, he's currently the CEO of a SaaS company, B2B, right? So a lot of experience on the management team. And then finances, they need to raise capital. If you look at the Form C I mentioned, there's not a lot there. So, I think something like 55,000 or 5,000 cash in the bank, whatever. There's not a lot of numbers there. Normally when you look at a public company, actually, this is about half or more of the equation. Yes, you want a great management team, but you want to look at, cash in the bank, revenue, margin, forward PE, stuff like that. None of that really matters in the startup world, and for this company, because it's so early stage, you're not really making an investment based on that. If anything, I am making an investment because this is a superstar team led by a great CEO. He has his head on straight. He knows what he's talking about, was recruited by Peter Thiel at PayPal. All the guys who started companies out of PayPal ended up doing big things. Cough Elon Musk, cough a bunch of others that you can Google all these people and see what they came up with. And also just a big total addressable market. The TAM opportunity is ridiculous, and so that's why I decided to put some money into this company. If you guys appreciated this video, make sure you put your investment in me by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Also, be sure to check out some other videos I've done on how to invest in startups, how to raise capital for your business, whether that's through equity crowdfunding or anything else. And of course, the entrepreneurship tips that I share right here. If you guys are interested, feel free to follow me on social media. You can kind of get a behind the scenes look of what it's like to scale a global technology and media company. Wish you guys the best. As always, keep hustling.